Well, it's Monday, March 30th. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up today on The Breakdown. 2 black entertainers are taking a political stance, sort of. Chilli of TLC is backpedaling after being exposed as a MAGA supporter, and the other, Nick Cannon, is making his alliance known. We'll tell you what they're saying as the political plot thickens. And Baltimore's black mayor, Brandon Scott, is revealing his DMs and the racist messages he's been getting from unhappy white residents. We'll tell you how he flipped the table on these angry right-wing people. And a black woman shares how her unemployment journey has been going, and in a turn of events, how she got rejected and ghosted by the military, not once, but 3 times. The Breakdown starts right now. Well, Baltimore's mayor is pulling back the curtain on what he calls vile hatred after sharing a series of racist and threatening messages. On March 27th, Brandon Scott posted screenshots to Instagram exposing slurs, attacks, and accusations, including being labeled a criminal kingpin. Scott used the movement to flip the narrative on critics targeting DEI, redefining it as duly elected incumbent and definitely earned it. He says the backlash reflects a deeper reality that some still struggle to accept how elections work, especially when a black leader wins and governs unapologetically. TLC singer Rosanda Chilli Thomas is clarifying that she is not a supporter of President Donald Trump and that she accidentally reposted a conspiracy video about former First Lady Michelle Obama. In a statement, she assures her fans that she is not MAGA and that her reposting of the video was a mistake. She further explains her reasonings behind donating to the Trump-aligned groups. In the video reposted to her Instagram page, Chilli says she accidentally reposted a video allegedly discussing Obama's gender.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here to address a few things that's circulating on the internet that's very concerning to me. Let me say this first. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Michelle Obama, and I would never say or do anything that is disrespectful to her or to any woman. I would never do that. And I had no clue that this repost had happened until I started getting phone calls and text messages from everybody, and I immediately went to my page to see what was going on. Now, mind you, I'm not very computer savvy, so I'm looking for this repost button, and I see that all of these buttons are very, very close to each other. And clearly I was scrolling and my thumb hit the repost button. Again, I had no clue that something like this happened until I got all the calls.
Well, critics then did some digging and discovered the singer previously donated to MAGA-aligned organizations during Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. Per records obtained by The Independent, the donations included $210.60 to Win Red, a Republican Party fundraising platform, $486.54 to Never Surrender Incorporated, that is associated with Trump, and $340.60 towards the Trump National Committee, JFC. Black entertainer Nick Cannon is also getting some backlash after he declares his support for Donald Trump. His declaration came on a recent episode of his web talk show, Big Drive. He took a drive around town with his guest, Amber Rose, who said Democrats don't care about people of color and the Republicans do. To which Cannon replied, I agree 100%. He also made statements that the Democrats are the party of the KKK. Cannon and Rose had a very lengthy conversation about their political stance during that episode.
Part of the Republican Party?
That's right. Former Democrat, former liberal.
Yeah.
I was a liberal Democrat my whole life.
Is that because the bag has got so intense and so heavy that you had a whole nother, you up there with the elite now? Or?
Not even close, not even close. Democrats don't care about black people.
Okay,
and they don't care about people, they don't care about people of color.
And I honestly, I don't subscribe to either party. I rock with W.E.B. Du Bois when he said there's no such thing that's two parties. It's just one evil party with two different names. So
yeah, I mean, look, I listen. I'm not married to any party.
right.
I voted for Donald Trump because we had two options, and he was definitely by far the better option for us. And as of now, I agree with a lot of things that he's doing.
Motherfucker cleaning house.
Yeah.
he doing
But
what he said he was gonna do.
Guess what? If there's a time where I don't agree, I'll say I don't agree.
Yeah. We got the Gulf of America now.
Period.
Charging, he's like the club. You charging a $5 million bottle service fee to get into the country.
I know. Listen,
I fuck with Trump. Like Trump has always been known. Like before, people was hating on him. Like he would be at all the events with like Russell Simmons and all the black parties.
Yeah.
He fuck with black women. Like
black girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Publicly.
Like Trump has always been. That nigga was on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yep. He didn't have to do that.
But when he got political, that's when, people start putting the racist jacket on.
It's all propaganda.
I honestly don't think he's racist. I think he's Trumpist.
Here's the thing. If Trump was racist, right? Let's say he was pandering just to get the vote.
Yeah.
Right? Why is he still doing shit for black people right now? He could have been like, yo, fuck y'all. I got your vote. I don't give a fuck about y'all. I'm already in office. I can't run another 4 years. I already did 4 years.
I think it's real dope. The lady he made the pardon czar.
Yes.
He made her he pardoned her and then made her the pardon czar to make sure that anybody who is actually been done wrong by the system, that he appointed her to be able to be like, look, you go out there and find these people for me so I can pardon them.
You know why I love Trump?
I fucked with that.
Trump made me have love for my country. Because when you go around all the Republicans, they're black, they're white, they're Asian, they're Hispanic, and they don't even talk about race, Nick. They talk about being American. You feel so safe in that environment. You can look online, black Republicans, they talk about this all the time. Because people make it seem like because you're a black Republican that they don't even fuck with you.
Right.
You feel so safe and welcomed in those spaces because they're not looking at you like you're black. They're not looking at you like you're
Hispanic. They just looking like you one of us.
You one of us.
Squad, gang.
You gang. You an American, you gang.
Yeah.
So there's a level of comfort and freedom in that. You're amongst your peers. That's why I said in my RNC speech, I was like, these are my people. This is where I belong.
Right.
And black Twitter and black Instagram, they took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
While factions of the Democratic Party were responsible for the rise of the KKK right after the Civil War, it's not widely believed that the entirety of the party endorsed the formation of the white supremacist group. A federal judge has dismissed charges against two former Louisville police officers tied to the raid that killed Breonna Taylor. The case against former Detective Joshua Janes and former Sergeant Kyle Meany were thrown out with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. The two are accused of falsifying information used to obtain the search warrant for Taylor's apartment back in 2020. Investigators later found those claims were never verified and no drugs were found inside her home. Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, is now speaking out against the decision to clear the officers in her daughter's case.
Committed a crime, so there's no getting it behind you. Breonna doesn't get to come back. She doesn't get to put it behind her. She was killed because of their lies and negligence, and somebody should be held accountable for that. And this, for me, every day since that day has been March the 13th. There's no putting it behind me.
Another officer, Brett Hankinson, was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in prison for violating Taylor's civil rights. Michigan Department of Corrections officials say Jarvis Butts, the man convicted in the murder of 13-year-old Neziah Harris in multiple sexual assault cases, committed suicide in prison on Tuesday. The 43-year-old man pleaded guilty in February to charges across 6 separate cases, including second-degree murder in the killing of Harris. Neziah Harris, a 13-year-old student at J.E. Clark Preparatory Academy, went missing January of 2024. Her body was never, ever found. Earlier this month, on March 12th, he was sentenced to 35 to 60 years behind bars for her murder, along with 10 to 15 years for 5 additional sexual assault convictions, all set to run concurrently. Jarvis Butts was also charged with numerous felonies in 2025, all in connection with Harris's disappearance and murder, as well as separate sexual assault case involving an 8-year-old relative and another young girl. On February 12th of this year, just under 2 weeks before his trial, Butts entered guilty pleas in 6 different cases. Kentucky State University announces they will no longer be an HBCU after they announced a 5-year plan to transition into a polytechnic institution. The decision was made after intense discussions about the university's future and was supported by state lawmakers. Now, this plan includes a declaration of financial exigency and aims to stabilize and strengthen the university's position. The university will maintain its historic mission and commitment to students, faculty, staff, and the Commonwealth. But this move is not sitting well with some of the students, a few of them speaking out to leaders about how disheartening this decision is to the future of the school.
Know about it until 2 days ago. And for students being on campus paying, $40,000 to get a degree, and you're telling us something that, oh, your major's not going to be here in the next year, in the fall. That's something huge. Lights are flashing, right?
The major's getting cut. It's a lot of people that's been here for 3 years and looking forward to graduate next year. But now they head are spinning to see if they can even stay here to graduate.
The university's president says he plans to hold a meeting with students to fully explain this new move sometime next week. And a new study links HBCU attendance to improved brain health, saying that it may offer benefits that extend far beyond graduation. The research published in JAMA Network Open analyzed data from more than 1,900 Black adults who attended college between 1940 and 1980. About 35% of the participants who attended an HBCU, while the rest attended predominantly white institutions. And the study found that those who attended HBCUs showed better memory and cognitive performance around age 62 compared to their peers. Dr. Marilyn Thomas, an assistant professor at the University of California, San Francisco, says what's really important about the findings is that it suggests that culturally affirming spaces actually can help promote and protect cognitive health. While the study is considered exploratory, it also adds to growing evidence that the quality and context matter of an education. Coming up next on the breakdown, her story is going viral. A qualified Black woman says she's been shut out of work, even by the military. And now she's speaking out. We'll speak to Kirsten Bradford in our Global Spotlight coming up after the break. And remember, for more news headlines and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day, please visit the Black Star Network. We are your source for stories that matter. We'll be right back.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. and we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
I've been unemployed for almost 2 years. I have an associate's degree in science, a bachelor's degree in communication and technology, and a master's in business. And I am unemployed. Did I mention that I'm almost 30 and I live with my parents because I have a child? Yeah, it's real. It's real. And when God says no, it's no. Because I wanted a job so bad that I tried to enlist in the military, okay? I wanted to be in the Air Force. Mind you, I've always wanted to be in the Air Force. I've always wanted to do it, but now seemed like the perfect time because I cannot get employment. Do you know the recruiter ghosted me? So then I tried another recruiter, and do you know they ghosted me? And then I tried another recruiter for a different branch. The Navy. Ghosted. God is a comedian. And if I'm supposed to be doing this, then just say that. Don't make these people hurt my feelings. I done took a test. I done got ready for maps. I done got in shape. I'm talking about all the things. And nada. God is so funny. But could y'all see me in the Air Force? I would love to be in the Air Force. I want to do it so bad. Oh, that's too bad, God. Whatever you want from me. Whatever you want, Lord.
Well, that was Kirsten Bradford. She's a Dallas-based professional whose story is going viral now. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 7.1% of Black women are unemployed right now. It's one of the highest rates in the country. And as you just heard, even when she turned to the military for opportunities, she says she was met with silence. Joining me right now on The Breakdown is Kirsten Bradford. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. I really appreciate being on here.
Absolutely. So take us back to the moment. What pushed you to consider going to the military after struggling to find work?
So I actually have always wanted to be in the military. My dad was in the military, so it was something that I always thought about, but never really had the opportunity to. I had a child relatively young, so it wasn't like I could just have the kid and go straight to the military. So after looking for quite a while and being on the job market, I was like, now it's a good time. My son's a lot older, and I don't have work, and I have a lot of stuff behind my name compared to when I was first trying to get in the military. It should be a shoo-in for me. So that's what kind of made me go and say, okay, let me be in the military. I think now's a good time to be in the military, until I was met with, perhaps not.
I mean, when you say recruiters ghosted you, what exactly happened that made you feel that way?
So I actually went into a recruitment office and I spoke with a recruiter, and they got all of my information, and they told me that I needed to speak with an officer recruiter. Started talking to an officer recruiter, learned the whole process. And then all of a sudden he was like, you know what, we're actually kind of full. And I didn't hear from him anymore. I was going to try this like hybrid thing to where if you start off as an officer or start off trying to be an officer and you don't get picked up as an officer, then you could still go enlisted. So that's what I'm thinking is still on the table for me. So I stopped hearing from the officer that was for the officer candidate program, and I started back trying to talk to the enlistment officer. I went to speak to him after setting a meeting, and he didn't even open the door. So then I was like, okay, let me try a different person then. I went to a different city that was still in Dallas, but a different city, and set up a meeting with him. He didn't talk to me either. And I tried a different branch, which was the Navy. And because of all of the degrees that I have to talk to an officer Navy recruiter first. And I reached out to him and he ghosted me as well. And I was like, maybe this is not my thing.
Why do you think it's so difficult to get into the military right now, even as the country is dealing with global conflict?
I think it is difficult to get in the Air Force in general. I've come to find that from my post that a lot of the recruiters are not like recruiting people for the Air Force, because a lot of people come to them. So the Air Force I kind of knew was up in the air for me, but not hearing back from the Navy really kind of crushed my spirit, because it was a humbling thing for me to even go to them. So I think it might be because a lot of the labor force is going to the military and looking at the military as a separate option, and a still great option for employment, because unemployment has affected so many people.
You know, you've done everything right on paper, right? Degrees, preparation, even getting yourself physically ready. Tell us about what this experience has done to your confidence.
My confidence after not hearing back from the military took a big hit. Like you said, I felt like I was doing all the things right. I went to a community college, then from a community college to a public school, and then from a public school to a private institution where I had a scholarship. So I'm thinking I'm a shoe-in for any job that I set my mind to, and not being able to get it, not getting a callbacks, not even hearing from a human, only getting robots telling me that I'm not qualified, really started to mess with me. And I could only imagine how many other people were suffering from the same things. And that's why I started speaking out and saying, like, I know I cannot be the only one. And if there is somebody out here that is like me, if it's only one person, it's a community of two now, because it truly cannot be me. And to find that so many other people are struggling with the same thing, and us creating a community, and me being able to say, like, okay, well, if this is our reality, and being able to create new content where I'm saying, yes, this is what's happening to us, but we don't have to let it continue to happen to us. We can still continue to be happy and find a space, or create a space where we're still living and we're still thriving, and it's going to be okay.
Your video is resonating with so many people, especially Black women. Did you expect this? And what are you hearing from others who see themselves in your story?
I did not expect to go viral like that. I was trying to find a community, but I didn't think I was going to find this much community. And it has truly been a blessing to find so many women that are like me. That viral video actually got me an article in the Wall Street Journal. And so many Black women being disproportionately affected by unemployment just brought us together, and really it's allowed me to make my own community where I started blending together faith and fitness, because fitness has truly helped me while I've been unemployed. I've changed my entire life, the way I eat, the way I work out. I've lost so much weight because I stopped letting what is happening to me affect my body and get inside of me anymore. So I found a lot of community in these beautiful, beautiful women and people, because men even reach out to me and tell me that they're happy that I'm sharing my story, because it gives them the freedom to do the same. So I have truly been blessed. God has really put his hand on my life and changed it. His plan is so much better than my plan. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to continue to speak on it on my platform.
Tell us what your degrees are in. What's your area of specialty?
So I have my associates in science, a bachelor's in communication and technology, and a master's in business.
And what do you want employers and decision makers to understand about people like you who are ready, able, and willing to work, but just can't find an opportunity?
I would love it if employers could just put their own eyes on the applications that automated and AI systems are disqualifying people for. Please look at those resumes. Please answer those emails, because we're being filtered out and we're more than qualified and ready to work.
All right, Kirsten, how can we get in contact with you? There may be an employer out there that wants to connect.
Employers, I would love it if you could send me an email at itsliterallykb@gmail.com. And on my social media platforms at itsliterallykb. I talk about it all the time, so I'm looking for you if you're looking for me.
I love it. Kirsten, thank you so much for being transparent and for sharing your voice on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, coming up after the break, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, a revived Georgia bill targeting district attorneys in 5 different counties, all led by Black women. Roland breaks down what critics are calling a calculated power move. Coming up next. And if you've come across a news story that deserves our attention, connect with us. Pretty please take a look at the screen right now. There's a QR code on the screen. Go ahead and scan it and submit your comments, your questions. We want to hear from you. And we'll see you back after the break. Stay with us. You're watching The Breakdown.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just 2 millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory, attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Hi, I'm Swain Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
Welcome back. In our Black and Missing segment, we're asking for your help in locating Kayamani Stokes. She went missing on March 24th, 2026 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was last seen on North 15th Street. She was wearing a blue jacket, blue hijab, a black hooded sweatshirt, and gray leggings. If you have any information about where she could be, please contact police at 216-686-3093. Well, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland tells us about how Georgia Republicans revived and reworked a failed bill to change district attorney elections in 5 specific counties. Black women district attorneys led each of these counties, and the transcript confirms the legislation was narrowly tailored rather than applied statewide. Lawmakers used procedural tactics to bring the bill back after it initially failed, with little change to its substance. The move exposes both the power grab and a targeted effort against Black women prosecutors. Take a look.
All right, folks. A Georgia Republican wanted to create nonpartisan district attorney elections in all counties and appoint a medical examiner rather than, y'all, this is seriously, elect a coroner. Senate Bill 573, introduced by Ackworth Republican Senator Ed Setzler, would apply to Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, Cobb, and Clayton counties. Just those 5. No other counties in Georgia. He said the change was needed to, quote, combat selective enforcement of laws by politicized DA offices. What's the common denominator in these counties? Oh, black women are the district attorneys in all 5. This is the map. This is the graphic you see right here. Luckily, the bill failed in the Senate by a 24-29 vote, with several prominent Republicans, including Senate Majority Leader Jason Anaviarte and Senator Matt Brass, who chairs the gatekeeping Senate Rules Committee, joining Democrats in voting against it. Joining me now, Georgia State Senators Sonia Halpern and Kim Jackson, the first female whip in the history of the Georgia Senate. Glad to have both of y'all here. So this is what I keep trying to explain to people who watch this show and who listen. And that is, when Republicans are in power, they are targeting black people. I have said that this administration seeks to defund black America. They are attacking every aspect of black America. Education, economics, politics, civil rights, social justice. And so on the state level, where Republicans have power, these things are happening. We are seeing it in Georgia. We're seeing it in Florida. We're seeing it in Texas. In this case, it was defeated. But in so many other examples, they actually are passing laws that specifically target where black folks have been exercising their political power.
Well, one quick update is that it was passed today in the House. So we sit in the Senate, but this is a bill that is passed in the House. And as you said, it is very specifically targeting 5 counties that all have in common black DAs, black elected DAs who happen to be Democrats. And so this bill is very specifically targeted. If it were good government and good governance, then it would be applied all throughout the state, but it's not. This is a very narrowly tailored piece of legislation that impacts our 5 of the largest counties in the state that represent about 40% of the population of the state and have black women already in power. And you know as well as I do that, you know, when you have party labels next to your name on a ballot, it can help people just better understand perhaps your values or give them some clues and cues, especially for low information voters who may go in and not know every single name on their ballot for every race.
I think back to Texas. Texas used to have straight ticket voting. So you could go into the booth and you can just simply vote all Democrat, all Republican. Well, Dallas County used to be red. Harris County used to be red. And all of a sudden, Democrats started figuring out how to actually campaign. Well, guess what? They took over Harris County, took over Dallas County, Travis County, Bexar County. Tarrant County was the only large county that was red. In the legislature, they said, okay, we're going to get rid of straight ticket voting. They said, we want people to be thinking about the choices in each race. That had nothing to do with it. It was about 1 year, 18 black women won judicial races. They could not stand losing. And so this is what they do. In this case here, again, what was the rationale given to specifically target these 5 counties and not the rest of the state?
Yeah, I mean, so they just made it up, to be clear. I mean, I think that's really important. So, you know, when you reported at the top of the hour, you said it was defeated. Well, they did lose it first. And they said, you know what, we're going to take another bite at the apple. And so they took a really good bill sponsored by a black woman in the House, stripped it out, and put some more racist things back on it, put it back on the floor again, and then it passed. It's now passed both chambers, so it's headed to the governor's desk, all around this notion that because these are the 5 large counties in Georgia, they need to have a special treatment and be nonpartisan. But really, I'm quite sure that if they could have just targeted at one DA, they would have done it. This is really about punishment for Fani Willis. Fani Willis, who dared to go after Trump. And so, you know, had to give a little cover by going against the 5. But really, I think fundamentally, this is all about Fani Willis.
So, okay, so it cleared the House 93-64. So what was changed? So you had an initial defeat in the Senate, and then it gets passed. So what actually changed?
What changed was the bill number that it was written on. Very little to nothing else. I mean, they tried to make it slightly more constitutional by making it not go into effect until 2028, but very little actually changed in terms of substance. What changed was the bill number so that they could bring it to the floor again.
Okay, so explain for the audience then, if Republicans voted against it in the Senate the first time, what happened the second time?
So the Republicans voted against it in the Senate. And so what happens is that you take a bill that has made it you take a bill that already exists and you strip all the language out of that bill, and then you put this bill language into that other bill. So like you just heard, Black women had a great bill. It was on food trucks. They totally strip all the language out of that bill and they turn it into this bill that failed before, and it gives them another chance to pass the bill and do what it is that they've intended to do. And it bought them time to get more agreement amongst themselves to make this happen and have it get all the way through the process.
So it doesn't go into effect until 2028. So what's next? I would assume Brian Kemp is going to sign it.
I think that's a fair assumption. He could surprise us, but I think that's a very fair assumption. I think what we also know is that DAs will immediately, those 5 women DAs will immediately seek an injunction. And this will go and cost Georgians millions and millions of dollars as they litigate it. Because DAs are constitutional officers for Georgia, the irony here is that the state is going to have to represent the DAs and the state will have to represent the state's position. So like we are talking about literally millions and millions of dollars spent in litigation of the state fighting the state, simply because Republicans wanted to target 5 Black women DAs. And we said multiple times, isn't it true that what's good for the goose is good for the gander? Why are we not doing this for all 51 DAs across the state? And they could not give a good answer because the only actual answer is because we want to target these 5 Black women.
So is it just the DA races or is it other local races as well?
The Solicitor Generals, it's a lot of the races that fall into public safety generally and broadly, except, and this is very important, sheriffs. Sheriffs, they have left as partisan races, but there are, county clerks, Solicitor Generals.
So wait. I'm sorry. So county DAs, they changed. County clerks, they changed, but not county sheriffs.
Correct.
County sheriffs are explicitly written out of it. And part of it, I would argue, they made sure that sheriffs were left out because the sheriffs, they think, are doing a good job of locking up lots of Black people. So they're not trying to get rid of them.
Wow. That is absolutely crazy. Again, but this is the point that I keep telling folk that they have to understand. This is what happens when you don't exercise your voting power. When we stay at home, when we don't maximize, and when I say maximize, I keep saying we need Black folks voting at 70% of our capacity. You've got state, and we talk about gerrymandering. Okay, you know what? State offices are not gerrymandered, and so there's an opportunity for Black folks to truly exercise their power in Georgia to win state offices. And that's how you also begin to stop a lot of this nonsense. So whether you're talking about Attorney General, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, Governor's Mansion, this is what folks need to be focusing on because those state races also impact state Supreme Court. And so it's connecting of the dots, and this is how Republicans play the political games.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Voting is going to be crucial. The reality is if we had a Democratic lieutenant governor who was presiding over our options, they wouldn't have been able to bring this bill back a second time for a second bite of the apple. If we had a Democratic governor, he or she would be able to veto this kind of madness. So it gives a lot more power. The other piece of this is that part of the way that power works has also a lot to do with the budget. And so if you have someone with money in the budget for their district and they're afraid they're going to lose that, they use that as a little dangling piece to make people change their votes when they give them a second bite of the apple. There's a whole lot of different sticks that the Republican parties use against their own members to get them in line in order to pass these things. So it's absolutely essential that we flip these seats, particularly these statewide seats, in order to make sure that we can take away some of those sticks and give ourselves an opportunity to have a line item veto, to be able to veto these things at the very end, and also stop some things from coming to the floor in the first place.
When is your primary?
May 19th.
All right. May 19th, early voting starts April 27th, correct?
That's right.
That's correct.
All right. All right. We certainly appreciate it. State Senators Sonia Halpern and Kim Jackson. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Well, coming up tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland will discuss the importance of the 2026 Black Census Project, the largest survey of Black people in American history, to articulate their visions for freedom, justice, and political power amidst escalating attacks on Black history, power, rights, safety, and well-being. That story is coming up tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered. That show begins at 6:00 p.m. Eastern. Also, your support is absolutely critical to the work that we do here on The Breakdown and on the Black Star Network. You can support us via Cash App using the Stripe code in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen here. There it is, right there. You can also help us out with credit cards. You can use the same thing. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle at RolandSMartin.com. Rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And if you're old school, you can send checks and money orders, all payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196 in Washington, D.C. 200370196. Our goal is to raise $1 million by December 31st. We'll be right back. Stick with us on The Breakdown, because coming up, the Nation of Islam teacher and author Brother Nuri Muhammad shares his new books and how creating a stronger relationship with God within our intimate connections to help foster healthy foundations in our homes, communities, and with others. That very important conversation coming up next on The Breakdown. Stay with us.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
In a world where relationships can often feel transactional and where systemic forces have long attempted to devalue Black men, women, and families, messages that undermine love are amplified daily across social media. Yet despite the noise, despite the history, and despite the challenges, there remains undeniable hope. Black love endures, Black families endure, and strong, thriving Black marriages are not only possible, but they're happening. Joining us today to talk about building powerful Black marriages, relationships, and communities is Brother Nuri Muhammad, student minister under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, author, activist, and entrepreneur. He's appeared on The Breakfast Club, The Council Culture Show, hosted by Nick Cannon, The Cam Newton Show with Cam Newton, and now The Breakdown with Brittany Noble. Brother Nuri Muhammad, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Brittany. It is an honor to share space and time with you on this wonderful platform.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. You wrote a number of books, including How to Love a Black Man, How to Love a Black Woman, Before You Say I Do, After Saying I Do. Well, tell us why this is important to you.
Well, my teacher, as you introduced, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he made this revolutionary observation and statement once about the solving the roots of our problems of us as a people. And he said this, he said that where there are no strong marriages, you cannot have strong families. Where there are no strong families, you cannot have a strong community. And without strong communities, you cannot have a strong nation. So marriage becomes the cornerstone of all nation building. In layman terms, we'll never get the hood right until we get the home right. So out of that, it hurt me, Sister Brittany, to be traveling around the country and with the fellow comrades in the struggle for justice and for freedom and equality in America, and to always have to have sidebar meetings with the leaders of our people, the organizers, the great teachers and activists. They seem to always be in some form of a marital or relationship problem. And I said, man, if they are out on the battlefield trying to fight for us as a people, and then they have to go home and fight again, how will they ever have the energy to perform well the task that God chose them for? So I always say this, that a Black man, the worst thing that a Black man could ever go home to is to go home and have to fight round two with his own woman. And the worst thing that a Black woman can go home to is to come home to a man that haven't been fighting at all. So that out of that root statement from the minister, and then the assessment of the teachers and activists among our people having so many relationship problems, having to fight at home and fight in the streets, made me want to be able to do something to help to convert our homes into spiritual recharge centers where we can unplug from this world and our work and come home to a pure place of love and extract from that environment that we call home peace and power, that we can fight better for God and our people.
You know, before you can build up a healthy home, you also talk about the importance of building a healthy relationship with yourself before partnership.
That's right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this. He said, you cannot love anyone more than you love yourself, not even God. So if God is the creator and you are his creation, how could you love him if you don't love what he created? So there has to be the root of self-love, and Jesus taught this too. It was just tucked in a way that we didn't catch it, because he said about these two commandments that I give you this day, and on these two hang all the laws and all the prophets. Even though we're two commandments given, there's three loves inside the two commandments. He said, number one, I want you to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Second one, I want you to love your neighbor or your sister and brother as you love yourself. Well, that's three loves. Loving God is one, loving neighbor is the other, but loving self is the first one, because you can't love the brother, the sister, the neighbor if you don't love yourself. So that is the way these two books were written. The third of the book starts off with the protocols of self-love to be able to convert us into the magnet for the ideal mate, not a person that needs that mate to make us into who we're supposed to be.
And tell us more about how a Black man loves a Black woman and how a Black woman loves a Black man.
Well, people, we've been getting some feedback from the title, because they like, love is love. But even Betty Crocker has enough sense to know that to get the same result It all depends on the environment that you're trying to bake the cake. So when they design a recipe for red velvet cake, the recipe is different for New Orleans than it is in Denver, Colorado. Why? Because one is called the Mile High City and the other one is the lowest point in America. You have to put different ingredients in a different order to get the same result based upon location. So it is with us as a people. We are a people that we can't forget that we have been hit in the head, kidnapped, brought 9,000 miles from our homeland, robbed of our name, our culture, religion, moreways, folkways, norms, and God. We are people that have been broken and brought down to New Orleans. So there's a different recipe that we need in order for us to get the best out of one another versus the formula others are using to get the best out of themselves. And I submit that, as you said in the introduction, the transactional relationship model is the Western way, but that's not the way we used to see things. We didn't see a black man or a man as being a human ATM machine, a bodyguard, and a handyman. And we didn't see our woman as being a personal chef, a maid in the pleasure box. That's the transactional side. It's called holy matrimony, Sister Brittany. It's called a sacred union, a covenant connection. These are all spiritual terms found in the vocabulary of God. So what we attempted to do in the How to Love a Black Man, How to Love a Black Woman is lift the gender-specific commands from the Lord of the Worlds found in Bible, Quran, and in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, scientific experiments, history, blend it all together and present it in a very user-friendly way that we could work a God-centered divine formula for love instead of this transactional Western European format that doesn't seem to be working too good with us having a 75% divorce rate.
Mm. Now, let's dig into it some more. According to research published in Essence magazine, Black women have the lowest marriage rates and highest rates of never having been married among other racial groups in the United States. Why is this?
Well, unfortunately, it seems to be a major product of what you could call plantation psychosis or post-traumatic slave syndrome for us. In the sense there's a great scientist named Naeem Latif. They did a study on the American psyche and the effects of it, the transatlantic slave trade and slavery on Black people. And what they found in their research is that 94% of the decisions that we make as a people in the current time are rooted in plantation life. And only 6% of our decisions today are rooted in our God-centered African culture we had before we were kidnapped and Caucasianized here in the West. So in doing slavery, there were three things, Sister Brittany, that were made illegal. One was to read, another was to pray, and the third thing that was made illegal was for us to marry one another. So we were breeded a fertile woman, a strong stud from one plantation, threw into a horse stable, make a baby, but don't take care of the baby. So we've been trained. Mm-hmm. It's gone to the point now that because of our premature cognitive commitment, trained in slavery to be a certain way, and the majority of our decisions being rooted in plantation life. Yesterday, it was against the law for a Black man to marry a Black woman. Now today, we almost got to make a law to get him to do it. And it's a part of the subliminal psychological programming that we are operating from a negative genetic memory rooted in plantation life. So we have to break that cycle. We got to put to bed the Willie Lynch curse, and we have to treat plantation psychosis and post-traumatic slave syndrome to shake this so that we can get back into having true Black love. Do you know, before we were brought here, when you go to the Pyramid Giza in Egypt, which is considered the last living wonder of the world, and the reason it's a wonder because they wonder how we did it. And if you look at this Pyramid Giza, it's 451 feet tall, 451 feet deep in the earth, covers 13.5 acres of land made of 1 million blocks of gold, marble, and granite weighing 3.5 tons apiece. Each stone is stacked mathematically precise, east and west, north and south, up in the air, down in the earth, not deviating 1 square inch. And we built it without a John Deere, Caterpillar, bulldozer, crane. Our mind did it. Inside that pyramid, though, when you go in there today in the modern time, every time you see the image of one of the strong black male gods, if you will, Osiris, Alafun, Osah, you'll see next to them, Sister Brittany, where someone's been scraping whatever used to be by them. And guess what? What was by them? See, Osiris was always with his queen Isis. Alafun was always beside his queen Illidah. Osah was always posted with his queen Aset. But they didn't want us to know. They're not behind, but beside every strong black man has always been a strong black woman, and vice versa. So they denied us that image of what our ancestors were trying to send us about the importance of us sticking together in the bond of holy matrimony. We've got to go back to revisit our habits, our culture, our diet, our thinking, and go back to those God-centered African ways and get rid of this plantation plate that we eat for dinner and give them back all of the other habits they taught us as a slave.
Well, you can purchase Brother Nuri's books, How to Love a Black Man or How to Love a Black Woman, on Amazon. Your other books like Before You Say I Do, After I Say I Do, and Let This Mind Be in You is also available on Amazon. Brother Nuri, thank you so much for joining us and talking to me here on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much, Sister Brittany. Hopefully we can do it soon again.
I cannot wait. Thank you. Well, if you want to represent the Black Star Network beyond the screen, there's an easy way to do that. Just head to shopblackstarnetwork.com, where you can find official Black Star Network swag. It's an easy way to support the network and show pride in Black-owned media. So you can shop blackstarnetwork.com, where you can support a growing collection of Black-owned businesses, all featured there on the site. That's going to do it for us today on The Breakdown. We want to thank you so much for joining us and for spending part of your day with us here on the Black Star Planet. You can keep the conversation going online by following me, the Noble Journalist. And don't forget, we'll be right back here tomorrow with more news and context